I'm calling to order this hearing or roundtable. This is a public roundtable of the Committee of the Whole of the Council of the District of Columbia. I'm Phil Mendelson, Chair of the Council, Chair of the Committee of the Whole. Today is Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. The time is 4:10 in the afternoon, and we are in room 412 of the Johnny Wilson Building. The subject of this afternoon's roundtable is consideration of 5 resolutions that the mayor introduced in the council to nominate 3 individuals to the Real Property Tax Appeals Commission and 2 individuals to the Washington Convention and Sports Authority Board of Directors. More particularly, PR 26-444 Real Property Tax Appeals Commission Cliftine Jones Confirmation Resolution of 2025. PR 26-445 Real Property Tax Appeals Commission May Chan Confirmation Resolution of 2025. PR 26-446 Real Property Tax Appeals Commission Trent Williams Confirmation Resolution of 2025. PR 26-475 Washington Convention and Sports Authority Board of Directors Julio J. Haddock Ortiz Confirmation Resolution of 2025. And PR 26-476 Washington Convention and Sports Authority Board of Directors Leif Dormschow Confirmation Resolution of 2025. I believe each of these was introduced at the request of the mayor in early December. I have different dates, December 4th, December 9th. And I believe each of these has a deemed disapproved date, which, if I remember correctly, and I'll tell more accurately in a moment, is March 26th, that they're deemed disapproved if not acted on by the council. So we're having this hearing so that we can move forward. It is my practice that when there are confirmation resolutions in the committee of the whole, that I have a hearing to afford the public an opportunity to comment if they wish, and also for the committee to do a little bit of oversight. Let me say a little bit more. I'm looking at the hearing notice. The stated purpose of PR 26-444 is to confirm the reappointment of Cliftine Jones to the Real Property Tax Appeals Commission, and PR 26-445 to confirm the reappointment of May Chan to the Real Property Tax Commission. The PR 26-446 to confirm the reappointment of Trent Williams to the Real Property Tax Appeals Commission. So each are reappointments. The mission of the Real Property Tax Appeals Commission is to conduct fair and impartial hearings on real property tax assessments for the citizens of the District of Columbia. The commission's objective is to ensure that an appellant's real property is assessed at 100% of market value based on properties similar in size and utility so that an equitable tax burden is shared. The commission meets at least 4 times annually for administrative matters. What's not clear to me from the hearing notice is the length of the terms. Which I'll say in a moment. For Real Property Tax Appeals Commission, I believe each of the reappointments is until April 30th, 2030. The stated purpose of PR 26-475 is to confirm the reappointment of Julio J. Haddock Ortiz to the Washington Convention and Sports Authority Board of Directors. The same with regard to PR 26-476, except it's Leif Dormschow. And I believe those terms, be nice if I had all this at my fingertips. May 16th, 2030 for both of them. So if you guys really want this, you're going to be trapped for 4 years. The Washington Convention and Sports Authority, otherwise known as EventsDC, is the official convention and sports authority for the district. EventsDC generates economic and community benefits for the residents and businesses of the District of Columbia by creating premier event experiences in the nation's capital and through the promotion of Washington, D.C. as a world-class destination. EventsDC's 12-member board of directors is comprised of local leaders from the district's business community who are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the council, with the exception of 3 ex officio members. Board members serve staggered 4-year terms and represent specific business segments of the local community. With regard to all of these resolutions, the record for this roundtable will close at 5 p.m. on Monday, February 16th, 2026. With that, I think what I want to do, there are 5 nominees, even though they're 2 different organizations, have all of you who are in person come to the table. So why don't you do that? One nominee, Cliftine Jones, is participating virtually. And I think each of you have statements. Why don't we start with Mei Chan? Good afternoon. You have a statement. So why don't you proceed? Turn your microphone on. I have no idea. I guess I probably should say a little bit more. So both boards, EventsDC and what I refer to as RPTAC, I don't know if you guys call it RPTAC, we're under the Committee on Business and Economic Development. When former Councilmember McDuffie resigned, the RPTAC will continue to be in the committee as a whole, but temporarily everybody was put in the committee as a whole. And so I'm proceeding with EventsDC, even though you will eventually be with a different committee, just so that we can get these nominations out of the way. That isn't meant to sound like it's a nuisance, but to just process them timely. RPTAC and the CFO and tax administration is going to continue with the CFO, and EventsDC, I believe, will be with the Committee on Executive Administration and Labor. So for oversight, you'll see a different person for EventsDC. But I'm going to have fun with you all today. Ms. Chan, you're up.
Chairman Mendelson, committee staff, and members of the council. My name is Mei Chan. I want to thank you for holding a hearing on my nomination for another term as a full-time commissioner on the Real Property Tax Appeals Commission. I also want to thank Mayor Muriel Bowser for nominating me for another term on RPTAC. I have been honored to serve as a full-time commissioner on RPTAC since its inception on July 16, 2012. Prior to that, I served as an active working member of the Board of Real Property Assessments and Appeals beginning in 2005. Over the course of the past 20 years, I have heard and decided more than 10,000 real property tax assessment appeals. This experience has provided me with a deep firsthand understanding of the district's real estate market across multiple economic cycles, including periods of growth, downturn, recovery, the COVID-19 pandemic, and most recently, the impacts of remote work and the reduction of the federal workforce. Having served continuously through these market shifts, I'm acutely aware of the challenges the district faces in ensuring that property tax assessments remain fair, accurate, and consistent with the law. The work of the Real Property Tax Appeals Commission is critical to maintaining public confidence in the district's tax system and ensuring that the tax burden is shared equitably among property owners. It has been my privilege to serve on the commission for more than 14 years, and I'm proud of the contribution I have made. The combination of my service on both the BRPA and RPTAC has strengthened my ability to preside over complex commercial and residential cases with fairness, rigor, and consistency. I bring to each appeal a disciplined, evidence-based approach and a strong commitment to impartial decision-making. I was originally appointed to BRPA by Mayor Anthony Williams due to my professional expertise in real estate project management as a private sector investor and developer, as well as my experience in public service and committee engagement. Prior to moving to the district, I served as an elected member of the Chinatown South Cove Neighborhood Council in Boston, where I reviewed development proposals, conducted hearings, and incorporated community input on both local and citywide issues. I have also been actively involved in long-range planning initiatives, including comprehensive planning and cultural development strategies. Since becoming a district resident more than 25 years ago, I have remained deeply engaged in civic and planning issues. I initially lived in Ward 2, where I served on the Chinatown Steering Committee, participate in design reviews for major development projects, including Gallery Place, and serve on the board of the Shore Community Development Fund and the Convention Center Hotel Ad Hoc Subcommittee. After moving to Ward 6 in 2008, I continue my involvement through service on the board of the Mount Vernon Triangle Community Improvement District and as second vice president of the Mount Vernon Square Neighborhood Association. I remain committed to sound planning and responsible development through my continued service with the Committee of 100 on the Federal City. My vision for the Real Property Tax Appeal Commission is grounded in its core mission, ensuring the equal sharing of the property tax burden across the district while protecting the legislatively granted benefits afforded to homeowners, including the homestead deduction and senior citizen tax relief. It is essential that eligible residents are not improperly denied these benefits and that all taxpayers receive a fair and impartial hearing. I believe my experience, training, and extensive knowledge of the real estate industry uniquely position me to continue serving the Commission during this period of economic and structural transition. My reappointment would provide continuity, institutional knowledge, and stability, qualities that are essential to the Commission's sound fiscal and fiduciary responsibilities. I'm fully prepared and eager to serve another term if confirmed, and I look forward to continuing my work in support of the Commission's mission and the residents of the District of Columbia. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Next, Trent Williams.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Honorable Chairperson Mendelson and members of the committee and council. I am Trent Williams, and it is my sincere pleasure to receive your consideration for my nomination to serve as chairperson of the Real Property Tax Appeals Commission. I'm grateful to the Honorable Mayor Bowser for nominating me and honored to have this opportunity to serve the residents of our district. I've been a resident of the District of Columbia for more than 25 years. Received my Bachelor of Science degree in Commerce at the University of Virginia in 1994. With a double major in Finance and Marketing, a minor in Spanish, while participating in the exchange program at the Universidad de Valencia. I then attended the College of William and Mary School of Law and Graduate School of Business, where I received my joint Juris Doctor and Master's in Business degrees in December of 1997. Since moving to Washington, D.C. in 1998, I have worked with law firms and Fortune 500 companies advising clients on real estate, investment, and business transactions. Initially a member of the Board of Real Property Assessments and Appeals since 2009, I was appointed to the Real Property Tax Appeals Commission in 2012. I was appointed to chairperson of the commission in 2021. My experience, leadership, and team approach have proven beneficial to the commission over the years to ensure fair, consistent, and data-driven decisions for district property owners. I've served the district and its residents with great enthusiasm for more than 15 years. Our hearings and decisions for property owners have remained professional and fair. I have had the opportunity to use my background in real estate expertise to work with our commission's procedures, analytical analyses, and written decisions throughout the years. Even more, my experience with real estate development transactions and real property investments have supported my ability to thoroughly understand the arguments and methodologies of all parties involved. As chairperson of the commission, I've had the opportunity to participate in and to impact the many results and conclusions for DC property owners. We will continue to adjust to market conditions and challenges. We will continue to conduct fair and professional hearings. We will continue to improve and perfect the real estate tax appeals process and procedures. I look forward to serving the residents of the District of Columbia and timely completing the commission's duties. Thank you for your time and consideration. Thank you, Chairperson Mendelson, for the opportunity to testify before this committee. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Continuing along the table, Jay Haddock.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the council and all those present here today. My name is Julio J. Haddock Ortiz, and I'm a resident of the District of Columbia and residing in Ward 6 since 1978, when I came to DC to manage the Sheraton Carlton Hotel, which is now the St. Regis, and made DC my home ever since. In 1980, I was part of creating Potomac Hotel Group with Conrad Kafritz, a local developer, and operated 8 hotels in DC and managing others outside of the District of Columbia as his executive vice president. After a long tenure with Potomac Hotel Group, I created Capital Hotels in 1997, operating 3 hotels in the District of Columbia with the Lipnick family. In 2018, we sold the last of the 3 hotels, and after 50 years in the industry, decided to retire from the industry. At present, I am the senior advisor to the CEO of the Carlos Rosario School, focusing mainly on advancement, workforce development, and community relations to the largest, oldest, and first adult education charter school in the country in its 50-plus years, serving only as a part-time employee. I have served in various organizations that have benefited the citizens of Washington, D.C. for over 45 years. As chair of the Mayor's Commission on Latino Affairs for 8 years under Mayor Williams, board member of the Whitman Walker Clinic for 11 years, member of the Hotel Association for over 15 years, member of the Regional Small Business Administration for 2 years, and a member of the EventsDC for the last 17 years, in addition to my support of many local minority organizations serving the DC community. During my tenure on the EventsDC board, I have served as the vice chair and operations chair of the organization, and in addition to the finance and finance committees. My tenure as a hospitality executive has served me well in helping to strategize and keeping EventsDC strong in ensuring that our tourism needs are maintained at the forefront of our programs and alliances with Destination DC, the Restaurant Association, and the Hotel Association. My belief is that keeping strong tourism offers our minority community opportunities for employment and advancement. During this period, we have faced challenges that I feel we have overcome with great success. The pandemic and our ability to have supported our alliances and our community at large is one of those examples. The development of the headquarters hotel was a much needed asset to strengthen our tourism attraction. Our Care First Arena, serving a ward that needed an economic driver in Ward 8, the creation of the $750,000 community grants program, the support of major entities such as DC United, Washington Spirit, the City Open, to mention a few, and so many other events and alliances that serve to drive the economy of the city, and now looking ahead, EventsDC support of the return of the Commanders and the stadium to be built. If I were reappointed, I would continue to offer my voice and support to ensuring the EventsDC continues to be the economic engine that it is, and that our city continues to be a gracious host to domestic domestic travel, international conventions, and events that offer the city the financial return that it requires as we make investments into making the city the sports capital and a solid destination for tourism, keeping in mind that we must all do our part to keep our hotels, restaurants, and local business active. I have a motto that I follow. DC does not have manufacturing to employ many of our residents, but we have tourism that offers a parallel to that and leads to over 70,000 jobs in the industry, and we must keep it solid. In closing, I want to thank my fellow board members and our chair, Leif Dormsjo, present here today, and past chairs for their incredible commitment to the organization. In addition to the incredible staff and its president and CEO, Angie Gates at EventsDC, as they welcome tens of thousands of visitors to our venues and the experience they have, which we know is a positive one. Finally, to the mayor, to the deputy mayor for economic development, and to the council for being such great partners in this endeavor to maintain DC as the great capital city of our country. Thank you for your time, Mr. Chair, and for considering my reappointment. I also extend my deep appreciation to Mayor Bowser for her support in this and to your staff for assisting me in being here today before you. I may answer any questions that you may have, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Dormsjo.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman Mendelson and members of the Committee of the Whole. For the record, I am Leif Dormsjo, resident of Ward 3 and nominee for public member and chairperson of the Washington Convention and Sports Authority, commonly known as EventsDC. I want to thank Mayor Bowser for renominating me for this position, which I assumed in July of 2024, and providing me another opportunity to serve the citizens of the District of Columbia. I appreciate the invitation to testify before the committee and hope I can convey my dedication to the mission of the authority. I've abridged my opening statement a little bit in the interest of time, if that's okay. That's it? No, I just wanted to make sure that if you're following along that you...
I'm an agreeable person.
Okay, thank you, sir. In my current role as Executive Vice President at Redgate Real Estate Advisors, I lead our Mid-Atlantic practice and concentrate on providing strategic advisory and project management services to a range of public and private clients. Prior to my private sector experience, I worked in senior positions in government, including the District of Columbia as the director of the District Department of Transportation. I've served numerous boards and commissions, including the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority, the Union Station Redevelopment Corporation, and the Maryland Economic Development Corporation. So I understand the importance of an engaged and responsible board. I previously served on the DC Public Library Board on 2 occasions and chaired its facilities committee from 2018 to 2020, where I was responsible for the oversight of the Martin Luther King Jr. Central Library renovation. My academic credentials include a bachelor's degree from Wesleyan University, a master's in public policy from the Harvard University's Kennedy School. While at Harvard, I was recognized as a Rappaport Public Policy Fellow. In public life, I've received several awards and honors, including the DC Building Industry Association's Public Leader of the Year Award and the Arbor Foundation's Champion of Trees Award, which I shared with former DOEE Director Tommy Wells. Since my appointment as the chair of EventsDC in July 2024, I have been working closely with the board members, CEO Angie Gates, and senior executives to improve the organization's business and financial capabilities, strengthen business and community partnerships, and build a framework for long-term strategic planning. I'd like to use the balance of my opening statement to elaborate on each of these 3 points. In terms of building a greater organizational effectiveness at EventsDC, we have worked hard on the capital program execution, and I am proud to report that the capital delivery team is performing very well. Our progress on the demolition of the RFK Stadium is on track, and we have been able to honor our commitments to the neighborhood through careful stewardship of that project. We continue to make significant modernization investments in the Walter E. Washington Convention Center and are developing the next set of improvements to maintain our competitiveness. We've also made a series of fire and life safety upgrades to the DC Armory. On the financial side, I have collaborated with Chief Financial Officer Glenn Lee to evaluate debt policy decisions, audit and compliance matters, and tax revenue forecast assumptions. The board and senior management have had regular briefings on financial management, including the recent annual audit report published by Inspector General Daniel Lucas, which identified no deviations from standard accounting practices. I understand CEO Gates has spoken to the chair and other members of the committee regarding Auditor Kathy Patterson's interpretation of our excess cash position, and to the extent necessary, we are receptive to working with the administration and the council to develop language to clarify that technical matter. Regarding my second point of emphasis, I have been very deliberate about seeking greater alignment with key business and community partners. Over the last 18 months, I have made time to foster alliances with Destination DC, the Hotel Association, the Restaurant Association, DC Chamber of Commerce, Greater Washington Partnership, DC History Center, WMATA, Downtown DC, the Nationals, and the Commanders. Last fall, I was invited to join the Destination DC Board of Directors, and I think this is a reflection of my commitment to work across the entire business sector to find ways to advantage the district. I've also tried to make our board meeting process more open and informative by welcoming members of the public, such as representatives of Unite Here, to present concerns to the board and senior executives. Under my direction, we have made an effort to provide more board meeting content for the public to review and digest. In terms of addressing the third point related to strategic planning, I have worked with the board members to develop and implement an annual all-day board retreat. This retreat was held in July of 2025, and plans are underway for a second retreat this summer. This working session held at the Convention Center allows board members to leverage their excellent professional and personal insights so we can develop a more holistic view of our competitive forces, innovation, organizational health, people and culture, business policy, external and internal communications. This year's retreat and the preparatory work focused on developing an improved performance plan for the CEO, Angie Gates. After receiving input and guidance from the entire board, we adopted a new performance plan this year, and it serves as our covenant between the board and the CEO on how we will work together to achieve success over the long term. I've been working with the board on other long-term priorities. I'm pleased to report we have taken steps to manage the organization's capital and debt obligations and our position to contribute to the parking program for the Commander Stadium project, helping return the team to the district in 2030. More broadly, we are working to complete the mandated study to assess DC's positioning as the nation's sports capital. That study will contribute goals, objectives, and approaches for a more comprehensive organizational strategic plan, which is being scoped now and will be the subject of the board's second retreat this coming July. In sum, I think my skills and approach have been a great complement to the diverse talents of the rest of the board members, and I am honored by the chance to contribute to this important civic priority. I hope I can answer any questions to your satisfaction later in the hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And finally, Cliftine Jones, who's participating virtually.
Thank you, Your Honor. I hope you can hear me.
We can barely hear you.
All right, just a moment. Let me. Is that better?
It's better. It's not great, but let's try it.
Well, firstly, thank you for allowing me to testify virtually. As you can hear my voice, I've been under the weather the last few days. So thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman Mendelson, members of the committee and staff. My name is Cliftine Jones, and I come before you seeking your support for my nomination and reappointment to the Real Property Tax Appeals Commission as a full-time commissioner. Firstly, on a personal note, I wish to thank the Almighty for his goodness, fidelity, and faithfulness, because whatever talents, skills, and/or abilities that I may possess are from above. I wish to offer my deep gratitude to Mayor Bowser for nominating me to this position, and if confirmed, I will endeavor to represent Mayor Bowser and you, the members of the Council of the District of Columbia, and the citizens of the District of Columbia with an earnest and devoted purpose. It has been a high honor, a great privilege, and a distinct joy to represent Mayor Bowser and her administration, as well as the great citizens of the district. I've made every effort to fulfill the Commission's objective and mission, which is to ensure that the appellant's real properties are assessed at 100% of market value based on properties similar in size and utility, so that an equitable tax burden is shared as ad valorem real property taxes. I'm a native Washingtonian and a lifelong resident of the city, except for my attendance at Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia. I attended Georgetown Day School, Hawthorne School, and graduated from Western High School, now known as Duke Ellington School of the Arts. I attended George Washington University, Howard University, and Spelman College with studies in journalism, fine arts, and liberal arts, respectively. The necessity to assist my late mother in her real estate business due to a family illness led me at an early age into the realm of real estate. My mother was a highly respected and admired real estate broker in the 1960s, helping to break the proverbial glass ceiling for minority businesswomen in the city, as former Mayor Sharon Pratt shared with me and others. I'm honored to say that I've learned so much from my mother. She was a great teacher with solid ethical and professional standards, which I hope I have mirrored in my professional life. I learned business acumen, tenacity, and poise from her, and I have had substantial experience in the business arena. I'm also, sir, going to abridge my comments for the sake of time today, but there will be in the written form. Thank you. I have had over 4 decades of experience in the fields of residential and commercial real estate, to include employment at Independence Federal Savings Bank as a mortgage loan officer, where I originated FHA, VA, and conventional mortgages in the DMV area. And I was licensed as an independent mortgage broker in the District of Columbia and Maryland, and for a short time operated as such. In prior years, I had the responsibility of overseeing the operation of boutique real estate firm, including supervising a small staff, the listing and selling of residential and commercial real estate, and providing property management services for a clientele base. In addition to these experiences, I served on the former Board of Real Property Assessments and Appeals, and I served as a chairperson of the Residential Property Committee, all duties providing invaluable experiences for this position as a commissioner on the Real Property Tax Appeals Commission. The learning curve is very steep in order to fulfill the multifaceted requirements to serve as a commissioner on the Real Property Tax Appeal Commission. I'm aware of the importance of analyzing assessments, appraisals, and income and expense data with diligence, accuracy, and fairness, and I'm aware of the importance of being well-versed in the nuances of the real estate industry. I've authored thousands of decisions during my tenure on the Board of Real Property Assessment Appeals, and as a member of the Real Property Tax Appeals Commission, and I've always attempted to reach just and fair conclusions. The position as a commissioner on the Real Property Tax Appeals Commission requires a skill set that includes the ability to formulate a decision in a precise and articulate manner. I have a background in journalism as a result of my studies at George Washington University, and these learned technical writing skills have assisted me immensely. My professional affiliations include being elected as governor to the Board of Governors for the Women's National Democratic Club and serving as the Director for Development for the Women's National Democratic Club. I'm currently a member of the National Women's Foundation, the National Society of Arts and Letters, and I'm a governor seated on the board of the Arts Club of Washington. My professional affiliations include serving as an active member of the Greater Capital Area Association of Realtors. In addition to my professional affiliation, I am a charter member of the National Museum of African American History and Culture's 2015 Society. I've always been passionate about helping others, whether assisting a family finding their dream home or as a loan officer assisting a loan applicant in obtaining a home loan. I'd hoped that my efforts would help promote the ties that bind within the beloved community and to encourage economic growth in the nation's capital. My volunteer activities have included donating to the Central Mission Ministries, volunteering at Grace Church, Georgetown for its Grace Table Ministry, where volunteers gather on certain Saturdays of each month to assist in providing for, interacting socially with, and feeding the homeless. When the Junior League of Washington decided to invite a diversified group of young women to its membership, I was invited to join the volunteer organization. As a former member of the Junior League, I was involved with the Susan Komen's cancer fundraiser, Race for the Cure, which took place on the National Mall. I've also financially supported the private school, Bishop Walker School for Boys, which is located in the arc of Mississippi Avenue Southeast. The Bishop Walker School educates boys from underserved communities east of the Anacostia River. I'm an active participant in the ecumenical community of Patron of the Arts, and I'm involved in philanthropic, charitable, and humanitarian efforts. My hope is, if confirmed, to continue to serve the government and the citizens of the great shining city on the hill with fairness and impartiality by ensuring that the rights of all petitioners, be they residential or commercial appellants and or citizens with homestead deduction and senior citizen or disabled property owner tax relief that come before the commission will always be treated even-handedly, putting my personal opinions aside, relying on the oath that I hope to take, which will be paramount. I will endeavor to meet your highest expectations, Chairman Mendelson and Council representatives, with my greatest sense of dignity, decorum, and effort by putting personal opinions aside. The decisions that the Real Property Tax Appeals Commissioners make have a daily impact on the lives of the district residents and district taxpayers. Finally, a percentage of the real property taxes paid are used to pay the general obligation bonds debt service, and the Real Property Tax Appeals Commission must ensure that the assessment appeals and therefore the tax dollars are honestly and precisely determined. I recently saw a poster that read, "Work hard, stay humble." I'm sincerely humble, joyous, and blessed to be here before you. I will gladly answer any questions that you may have of me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Thank you, each of you, for your testimony and your service and your willingness to continue serving. So I do have some questions. RPTAC is full-time for the members?
We have 10 members, and we have 6 that are full-time. We have 4 hearing examiners who work 6 months during the high end of the season.
So the 4 hearing examiners are full-time, but just for half a year,
That's correct.
and everyone else is full-time.
That's correct.
So, Ms. Chen, you don't have any other employment, but Mr. Williams, are you still affiliated with a firm?
No, I am not. This is my full-time job.
And Ms. Jones, this is your full-time job? You
Yes.
don't have any other employment?
Well, I think I sold 1 house last year.
Okay.
Yes, it's my full time.
How much time does it take to be a member of RPTAC?
From August to February 1st is our high season, and it's a very intense time where we are having potentially 2 panels of hearings. Those hearings will have 3 commissioners, 2 to 3 commissioners, but usually 3 commissioners on each panel. So that's 6 per day. And we are usually, during that time, having 2 panels each weekday. After February 1st, the season, or at least the number of appeals, have been taken care of, and it slows down. And so we may have panels every other day. But we are in full stride from the end of August to February 1st. And so it takes our full commitment to ensure that we are not only attending these panels and these hearings, but that we're dedicating the effort necessary to analyze the evidence, analyze the statistics, the numbers, the income and expenses, and making fair and professional decisions.
So how many appeals are heard by a panel in a day, in one day?
Thank you for that. And I usually would have added that. It's usually a docket that could be anywhere on average from 12 to 15 cases. There are some smaller dockets that might have 8 cases, but there may also be days where we have 17 cases, which would be probably one of our longer days.
And one day of hearings usually takes at least 2 to 3 days to write the decisions.
So when you say hearing, a panel is a hearing.
It is. And so the docket would have, for example, 15 cases. It may have the same parties in all 15. It may be a diversity of different parties. But with that being said, those 15 cases, if there's 3 panel members or 3 commissioners on that panel, will usually each write 5 decisions. Again, as Commissioner Chan has stated, if these are commercial cases, these are pretty complex cases. There may be appraisals. There will definitely be at least 2 years of income and expense forms that need to be analyzed. You'll also have to critique the arguments of the parties. The Office of Tax and Revenue will have their arguments, and then we'll also have the arguments from the petitioners and their agents. And so we're critiquing their arguments, we are analyzing the numbers, and we're trying to put that together into a decision that's fair, professional, and definitely precise with the numbers.
Do you think that there are ways that the structure could improve? When I say structure, I mean the structure for evaluating assessments. When I say evaluating, I mean hearing appeals. So I know there's the first level, you're the second level. That's what I mean by structure. Do you think there are ways it could improve? And actually, I want to ask that of each of the 3 of you. Ms. Chan?
I'll go ahead.
Okay.
We're always trying to improve. The improvement comes understanding that the law says that the Office of Tax and Revenue's value is presumed to be correct. And so the burden is on the petitioner and their agents to prove some type of error in the Office of Tax and Revenue's approach to value. There are 3 approaches to value, 3 main approaches to value. The first 2 are pretty simple, is the sales approach. For example, if your property sold for X dollars within the last year, the courts have said that's the one of the most, the best ways of determining the value, the market value of a property if it's an arm's length transaction. Willing buyer, willing seller, they came to a market value. That is a pretty straightforward case.
For commercial as well as residential,
Yes, sir.
regardless of income.
Yes, sir. The sales approach is a pretty straightforward if it's an arm's length transaction and it's qualified transaction. Now, if it's not a market transaction, then we would probably need to go to one of the other 2 approaches. The other less complex approach would be the cost approach, and that would be how much would it cost to build the property. This is usually used for newer properties. And so if they don't necessarily have a stable income flow because they're new, or if it's a brand new building and there aren't sales that are appropriate to compare it to, then we would potentially look at the cost approach. How much does it cost to build the building? And then, of course, the most complex approach is the income approach, as you mentioned earlier. Now we're looking at the I&E statements. We're looking at the historical performance of the property. We're looking at the market performance of similar properties, and we're trying to analyze and calculate a value based on different cap rates.
But my question was, are there ways that the system could improve? And when I say this system, I'll explain again. We have set up this appeal process as a level 1, level 2, level 3. RPTAC is level 2. But when I asked a question, you could speak to the fact that we have the 3 steps. Or it could be what you see are that assessors are uniformly bad. Maybe what you see is they're actually good. So then maybe that's not a way to improve. Or the burden on the taxpayer, maybe there's some ways that could improve. I don't know. That's what I'm asking here. The timing of everything. So you want to take another stab at it, or can I
Sure.
go to your colleagues?
Oh. Sure, and I apologize. I was suggesting that because of these 3 approaches, that is how we're going to approach these hearings. Now, is there an opportunity to improve? Yes. It will, of course, depend on how the economy is acting. It will depend on how the market is acting, and we will make adjustments along those lines. We're always trying to do better as far as the timeliness of our decisions. Depending on the number of appeals that we receive, we're always working to meet the statutory deadlines. And so that's always an area to improve. And we try to work with all parties, whether it's the petitioners or the Office of Tax and Revenue or other government agencies, to see how we can make the procedures and the process more efficient and more fair.
Ms. Chan, are there ways that you think that this whole process could improve?
Yes, I think that the 3 approaches is, the normal. But we are facing in the recent years with the pandemic, and as well as the drastic reduction of the workforce. And so we have increased workload because of petitioners start coming in and arguing for the actual performance of the property versus the market values. And that become, increased the complexity of the cases. And so that required more detailed financial analysis and careful consideration of the evolving market conditions. And so, yes, we need more staffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't get that last part.
You didn't hear the last part?
We need to have more commissioners and staffs in order to meet, because there is, how the procedures is that they have to go through the first level of appeal before they come to the second level of appeals. And then they also need to have our decision before they can send out the tax bill. So we have a certain time frame that we have to follow. And that's the regular valuation hearings. But the rest of the year, we will be hearing classification cases, rehearings, and stuff like that. And that's a little bit, that's usually manageable. But during the bulk of the valuation hearings, right now we are drowned in hearings cases every days and then having to write decision late at night and in the weekends and it's
How many commissioners are there? Oh, you already said there's 6 full-time and 4 hearing
we have
examiners.
Sure.
and the vice chair and then 4 full-time commissioners. And
Oh.
we used to have
18.
6 part-time commissioner, but now we only have 4.
Yeah, and so along those lines, depending when the hearing examiners can be hired, we're potentially doing the work of 18 people with 4 to 6 people. And then once we get the hearing examiners, we'll have 10, which is so far been our maximum recently. But we're still doing the work of potentially 16 to 18 persons. And so when there's the opportunity, we would look forward to additional potential hearing examiners if possible.
Ms. Jones, what were you saying?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. So the question was asked in writing, how do we believe these challenges could be addressed? And how I answered, I said the challenges have been the significant increase in real estate assessment appeals, most due to the fluctuations in the real estate market industry due to the inflationary trends in recent years and the issues with office leasing market fallout. The Commission has experienced thousands of real estate tax appeals, and I thought these challenges may be addressed by what my colleagues have just suggested, by either an additional full-time commissioner or additional hearing examiner. I mean, I don't take sick leave. I haven't taken really any vacation, and trying to be diligent to try to meet these deadlines. And it is overwhelming to try to be articulate and respond specifically to the many issues that the petitioners, especially the commercial property representatives, in fact, Natwar Gandhi said it's become a cottage industry because the many law firms, rightfully so, represent the commercial office buildings, hotels, and it's there may be 2 or 3 of the representatives per hearing, and we are answering this law firm to really a portion of their law firm to accommodate their concerns, and if to try to be efficient and articulate and fair, it is overwhelming. And as I said, I haven't taken any time off, no sick leave. You can hear my voice now, and I'm thankful though. I'm happy to be able to do it, but I'm not sure if the powers that be realize how nuanced and how what we do. In fact, it would be great if you would join us one time for a hearing, just to see how the process is so detailed. It's not a courtroom, but it's almost a quasi judicial process, is what I think.
So,
Thank you.
Ms. Jones, you said a number earlier and I didn't hear it. It used to be how many?
18.
Is that
Now, that was the Board of Real Property Assessments and Appeals. So at that juncture, we were independent contractors with the district government. Then when the Real Property Tax Appeals Commission was created, as Commissioner Chan said, in July of 2012, the complexion changed, and we were full-time district government employees. But because of this onslaught of the housing market, the commercial market, and the downturn, it has really, we're having hearings now in February. And that's because of the overwhelming caseload. Thank you, sir.
So when it was the Board of Equalization Review, it was actually a name after that. I want to say
Yeah.
BRPA, is that correct?
Board of Real Property Assessments and Appeal. Oh, BRPA.
Yes. When it was BRPA, they were not full-time, but it was 18?
I believe that's correct.
So it went from 18 who were not full-time to 6 who are full-time.
And 6 part-time before.
You said 6 plus 6, but there are only 4 hearing examiners.
Is it 8?
I believe that we may have the opportunity to have additional hearing examiners, but right now we can only have 4.
Because of the budget.
I believe so.
See, that's what this hearing is partly good for. So I ordinarily ask nominees if they have the time to serve, and I'm going to ask that in a minute of EventsDC. But you guys are full-time, so of course you have the time to serve.
Yes, sir.
I also asked 2 other questions. Always, I'm going to ask this questions of EventsDC in a few minutes. Do you know of any potential conflicts of interest, or have there been conflicts of interest that have arisen, and how do you handle them? Mr. Williams?
No conflicts of interest. And yeah,
Ms. Chan?
No conflict of interest.
And Ms. Jones?
No conflict of interest, sir.
And that's because you're full-time with the board or commission. And the other question I asked is if you're current with on liability for taxes, fees, or other payments to the district, federal, or other state and local governments. We've actually had years and years ago, we were embarrassed because somebody was really a scofflaw. Do you, Mr. Williams, are you current in your liabilities?
I am.
And Ms. Chan?
Yes.
And Ms. Jones?
Yes, sir.
One other question comes to mind. The income expense statements. My impression has always been that the timing's kind of messed up there. So you're looking at, well, you're the second level, so you're probably not dealing with, well, you're not yet dealing with appeals for the tax notices that are about to go out.
No, sir. And in a sense, that's why they have the timing from August to February 1st. Because they want to then give time for the next year and for the Office of Tax and Revenue to do their due diligence for the next year. And so I believe there's some conversation at currently where we're trying to figure out if this is the best calendar. But we've had this calendar for many, many years.
I understand, and I think that commercial property owners probably like the calendar, but it means that you're looking at an income expense statement for last year when considering what the tax is for next year.
Yeah, even though it's, for example, this was tax year 2026, we're looking at the value of the property on January 1st of 2025.
Prior.
And so we're looking at the data from the past 2 years. That's the relevant data that we're looking at for tax year 2026. Indeed, from time to time, there is new information, new transactions that come into the market during, for example, calendar year 2025. But we try to focus on the data valuation, which would be January 1st of 2025, and any new information would be used the following year. So yes, we are, in a sense, lagging 1 year when we're valuing these properties.
On income expense lagging only 1 year?
For example, for January 1st of 2025, we would look at the INEs from 2024 and 2023. Yes.
Okay, and that's for the assessment on which the tax is paid for.
Tax year
26.
2026. That's correct.
Yeah, that seems a little out of date to me. Let me turn to EventsDC. They're feeling a little lonely and ignored. No, I want to ask one other question of RPTAC, which I will ask of EventsDC as well. Of the 6 full-time members, is everyone getting along well? And I'm looking for an honest answer because to me, it's important whether a board or commission is working well.
Yes, I think that most of us have been around for many years together, and so we work well together. We will have in-house discussions if there is, for example, something in the market that's new that we haven't seen before. We'll call all of the commissioners together and literally have a discussion about that new market data. And with the expertise of our members, We definitely can come to some conclusions that we feel are fair for property owners in the district. But as far as getting along, I believe we do.
So with Events DC, is everyone getting along well?
I'll defer to my longer-serving colleague. I'm
think
interested to
so.
hear his
I
assessment.
think so. I think that the group of people that we have are well adjusted to the needs of Events DC, and they work very well together. And sometimes we agree to disagree on certain things, but normally we come to a consensus after it's explained and discussed, because a lot of things that are in front of Events DC are big picture items.
Correct. I mean, it hasn't always been the case that everyone has gotten along well on the Events DC board. But right now, everyone is. Is that your experience, Mr. Dormshaw, since you are now the chair?
Well, I can't speak to the board culture or hygiene prior to my
Sure.
my appointment, but I've been very deliberate around participation and input from all the board members, both the veterans who have a great deal of perspective and some of the newer appointees that bring industry and professional vantage points. We did go through a very deliberate process of thinking through our committee structures, and we made some changes to the committee structures and talked through the chairs of those committees. We formed an executive committee that Jay and two other members, Monica Ray and Sherry Doggett, serve on with me. So we have more participation. We've worked through our meeting schedule to make sure that we have more in-person interaction. So I think we've rebalanced our committees and the meetings and just tried to set a tone of respectful cooperation, but also rigor around the issues. So I've made a point to get the board members more information from staff earlier so they have an opportunity to ask good questions and push our decision-making process. So I think over the past year and a half, the board performance and our collegiality has been good. And we're moving to a higher plane through this retreat process, which I mentioned. We had every board member participate in the all-day retreat, including several of the ex officios who are, in a high-level government executive positions here, Glenn Lee and Deputy Mayor Nina Albert. So everyone is really engaged. That's the intent. And we're making sure that we have time to get together and talk through issues and make sure that, it's not just a rubber stamp certifying board. We want to be an active, engaged, and helpful board to the CEO and the leadership team. And that requires a lot of different perspectives.
Did I understand that the executive committee is new?
We had an executive committee before, executive officers before, but they didn't really meet. And so I wanted to make sure that if you're an officer, it meant something.
So Ms. Doggett and
He's the
Ms.
vice
Ray.
chair, Jay's the treasurer, and Monica Ray is the secretary. So I wanted those positions to mean something other than, them being listed on our annual report or our audit or our bond covenants. So we want to make sure these committees are actually, focused on real matters and that we have real responsibility. And when we've gone through a number of considerations around different issues, I've brought that to the executive committee before going to the larger board so that I'm getting input from, those senior officers.
Would you say that Events DC as a entity is financially healthy?
Yes, we have spent a lot of time working with the CFO and his team. But in terms of the deployment of capital, our debt position, I think our operating expenses, from a financial management perspective, there's been a good good outcomes in each of those key areas.
Now, you alluded to this in your statement. Kathy Patterson suggested you were a little too healthy. I don't know that you really touched on that in terms of rebutting it in your testimony. Can you just?
I
speak to
did
that?
mention that. Yeah, I think that, that's really a matter that has been in the hands of the OCFO, and there's been kind of a longstanding practice around how our excess cash is defined and how that is accounted for. Both the OCFO's team and our outside auditors have been in agreement around that calculation and that methodology. And just recently, the auditor took a different viewpoint and wrote up a report. But I think that report is, effectively advisory to the council and not operative in the sense that it dictates kind of how we characterize those funds and the need for those obligations in our in the out years. So I don't want to dismiss the report out of hand, but our advice from the OCFO and our outside auditors is that our practices are sound and consistent with the law. But to the extent that that needed to be further clarified, if that was helpful, I think we'd be willing to work with the council and the administration on that.
Mr. Haddock, do you want to add to that?
No, I wanted to add that the strength of EventsDC is based on tourism. And the heads and beds is what counts. And therefore, it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we keep that strong with regard to sports, entertainment, conventions, and the ability to bring people into the district so that everything is based on that taxation that we get back into EventsDC, which allows us to do so many of the other things that the community and the district requires. So I just wanted to add that.
Are there, how do I want to phrase this? What challenges would you say are confronting EventsDC and, or another way of answering that, are ways that EventsDC could improve? I actually think I want to start with Mr. Haddock.
Some of them are not within our ability to change. That negativity that has been dished out to us with regard to the city as a whole is playing a major part in some of domestic tourism falling off, as well as international. However, we don't see a fall off as much as other areas because we continue to do a lot of events and we continue to support the Restaurant Association, the Hotel Association, Destination DC, and our alliances with Cherry Blossom, with all the large sports groups. So going back to your question, yes, that is really the major challenge in the district right now, is how we have been broadcasted to the rest of the country. And it's not true, as we all know. And it's important that we share our own story and let people know that this is not what has happened here in the district. The district is alive and well and offers first-rate hotels, restaurants, entertainment, sports. So that's probably the major challenge right now that we're facing. But I think that gradually it'll dissipate, fingers crossed, obviously. And I look forward to very good years coming up for the district.
Now, there's so many other ways you could have answered that the convention center building is falling apart, which I think it isn't, or that the staff needs to be larger or changed. There's so many other ways you could have answered that, but you chose that way. And I said that because, Mr. Dornshaw, how would you answer the question?
Well, I do think, Jay's entirely right. And I think to follow up on what he's saying before I offer a couple other additional points. We really have, because of the the real and imagined, perception of traveling to the District of Columbia, for events, conventions, gatherings. We really have been compelled to get creative around some of the bids that we go after, some of the partnerships that we have consummated, and some of the collaboration that we need to do with these important partners like the Hotel and Restaurant Association. So and the Destination DC. So I wouldn't want to say that we have to kind of sit on our hands and hope for better days. Because I think from a board's perspective, with Jay really pushing management and bringing the urgency to the board discussions, we really have tried to be more nimble and creative around how to bring more attraction to the district and get people into hotel rooms for longer stays. So that can be better programming, that can be new events, that can be a range of different things that we've been doing. But it's also going to require us to think 12 to 24 or 36 months out and really work hard to bring in new business. And that is happening, and the team is committed to that. In terms of the people in the organization, I think there is an important evolution that is in the process of occurring that makes a lot of sense now. The gap between EventsDC's role in Nationals ballpark and today, just in terms of a technical competency and focus, is pretty significant. It's been a while since the organization has been, really immersed in a large-scale, complex capital project. And so we're talking, and now in the early stages of addressing the need to have more in-house expertise and capability in those types of areas. And it's not just because we want to be a good steward of the Commanders stadium project, which we have a role in. Right now, it's focused on the parking program, but we're also in discussions around how we can kind of administratively play a role with that larger project. But as you know, Chairman, our relationship with the Nationals has not always been as warm and collegial and aligned as it could be. I think now it's in a much better place. But part of that is working closely with the Nationals on reinvestments that they can make within that facility that long term improve not just the fan experience for baseball games, but make that facility more dynamic, more divisible, more open to other types of activities. And we need to have knowledgeable in-house folks who can be a great partner to the Nationals in that regard. The convention center, we've been getting advice from outside experts around our competition around the country. And while the convention center itself is in good condition, just in terms of the base building, there are certain technologies or partitioning, or certain flexibilities, certain amenities that other cities have with their convention center that are not that we're not able to provide. And so we're going to have to get into, a strategy around how to make those types of improvements over the next few years. Even the Commander Stadium is a project where we've been very clear with the leadership at the Commanders, but also the leadership in the mayor's office, that we have a role to play to support, their planning for that building so that it has more opportunities for the community. It has more opportunities for different types of sports, has more opportunities for events. And that's going to require us having that talent, additional talent within the EventsDC organization. And so I'm glad that, the CEO is working in that vein, and the board supports that. We need to kind of adopt, that type of skill set within the organization. So that's definitely an area of improvement. And then I would say just bigger picture in terms of the physical assets, without getting into a lot of the details, but there's alignment with the CFO's office, to be more programmatic around all the assets that EventsDC has under, our control, and to have a better handle on the planning, design, construction, capital renewal obligations over the long term. The district went through under CFO Jeff DeWitt's leadership, and then extending into Glenn Lee's leadership. You have adopted a capital asset, a financial plan, long-term financial plan for the capital assets of the District of Columbia. EventsDC wasn't included in that several years ago, and I've made a commitment to Glenn Lee and his team that we'd like to have a similar type of rigor and scrutiny applied to our assets, so that we have that playbook for what's going to be needed to make sure not just the convention center, but all the assets that we have under our responsibility, we have a way to avoid their deterioration, disrepair, or obsolescence.
So have they been added to his plan?
We're in the process of scoping that out right now.
So how long will that take?
It shouldn't take more than 12 months, because we've already done some of the field work, and so it's really a matter of working with his team and kind of programming the assets into the methodology that they apply to all the other city agencies.
Any other challenges? It's okay if you don't have anything.
No, I think that it's kind of people and the assets are the things that, we've been spending a lot of time talking about.
So when the Washington Convention Center board was established, it was the Washington Convention Center. And then we added, I believe, the Armory, and then we added the Washington Nationals, and then we added ESA. Actually, at some point I left out RFK. Now you've got the Commanders Stadium, the
Rise
fields at RFK.
The Rise Center.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we putting too much on your plate?
And Carnegie Library.
In the Carnegie Library. I don't believe so. I think that I think there's a lot of benefit to having kind of a center of excellence around these types of capital assets. I think we've been from a management perspective, there's a lot to be gained from our working experience with these different sports organizations. So the fact that we're working with Monumental at the Care First Arena, working with the Nats at the ballpark, now working with the Commanders, there's natural alignment there. And
yeah, between the teams, but that's not, I wouldn't say that's a natural alignment with the convention center. Clearly there's some nexus, but it's not a natural alignment, but we keep adding teams to you.
Teams and facilities, yeah. But the facilities, a lot of the nature of the work, it's all oriented around hospitality, spectators, marketing. I mean, there is, well, yes, the actual venues are doing, they're supporting, different functions. The fact that they're large buildings, I don't find it to be a disservice to have the convention center in our portfolio along with these other facilities. I think there is a commonality that allows us to, provide really, I think, good support in each of the sectors and to also be accountable. I think it'd be very difficult if you had, all these things kind of running on separate, P&Ls.
So, Mr. Haddock, you've been on the board for some time. I mean, we've expanded the responsibility fivefold, sixfold, tenfold. Well, probably not tenfold. Do you see any stresses there?
No, I don't. I think what you added was the sports and entertainment commission to become part of NCC, I don't know, about 10, 14 years ago.
Yes,
Um,
we added that, but
yeah.
then,
But since then, you haven't added anything else.
well,
other
because
than-
we keep adding more stadiums.
You're adding one more stadium, yes. But it depends on the role that we're going to play in that stadium and in the Commanders when they return.
No, more than one stadium, ESA.
It's an arena.
It's
Yeah,
another
correction,
large
park.
sports facility.
But that's a 4,500 seat arena, and that was not a major undertaking. And it's doing well because it's mostly part of Monumental. So our job there is to maintain it and to work with them closely to make sure that it moves forward in the proper fashion. And we only have X number of days there. So it was a limited, I guess, burden. But overall, we're responsible for the facility. But I think that, and we are going to add more expertise in certain areas because that's one thing that the chair brings to the table. He's very dead set on excellence in each area that we undertake. But I think we're doing well, and I think we have a very good person in Angie Gates and her staff. I'm the labor representative that's required under the mission of EventsDC. So I keep on top of everything that has to do, not labor, sorry, tourism and hospitality. I read up on everything that may affect us because obviously, as I said before, the top number comes from the hotel tax. So there was a lull in certain things that had to happen because of the pandemic. We had to build up our reserves because we have to protect also our bond requirements. And it's happened, and now we're investing a whole lot of money in all our venues to make sure that they're cosmetically competitive and safe and welcoming to the public. So I don't know if I answered your question, but it's because I have great faith in the people that sit on the board of EventsDC, in the chair, and also in the people that work there, because I know their level of commitment.
You're answering the question. I put the question out to get an answer. I got an answer. So both of you have been on the board. Mr. Haddock, you've been on the board longer. Do you have the time to serve if you are reappointed?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
And do you know of any potential conflicts of interest that could arise, Mr. Haddock?
No, sir.
Have there been, during your tenure, any conflicts of interest?
Never.
Mr. Dormshow?
No conflicts of interest.
And are you current in your liability for taxes, fees, or other payments to the district, federal, or state and local governments? Mr. Haddock?
What was
Are
the
you
question?
current in your tax liabilities and fees to the district, federal, and other state and local governments?
Zero. No.
Mr. Dormshow?
I'm current.
Last question for everybody. So I know the RPTAC folks were falling asleep. Anything that you think the council should be doing? I could put that differently. Anything you need from the council, or what do you want from the council? I'm happy if the answer is nothing. Is there anything that the council can do? I think I'll start with Ms. Jones.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Well, first of all, it's not myself that's worked so hard. The whole commission, the staff, there are so many dedicated people. And the mayor did a great job by choosing Chairman Williams, who is very steady-handed. And I just wanted to put that on the record because I know I said, oh, I don't, I'm working all the time. Everyone's working all the time. Everyone has that commitment. And I think my concern was just in order to function, we have to be honest with you and say, and even the mayor may or may not know, we just need a little more help. And it's an honor to serve you and the city. And again, I appreciate all of the help that we get from our staff. We couldn't make it with that. And again, Chairman Williams, Commissioner Chan, we all work hard. So I think I would like to say, if possible, if there can be an additional commissioner or hearing examiner, I think that would help us. And thank you for your concern, Chairman.
Thank you. Ms. Chan, anything?
Okay. I think our process start actually from the Office of Tax Revenue. And if their assessments are correct, then we won't have that many caseload. So usually before the season start, they will publish the pertinent data of the book and then the market analytic that will actually support the data that they publish. And their process, if their process can be, how should I say it? Accurate, more accurate. And I think that will be make the whole system more efficient.
Mr. Williams.
I think there's an opportunity for our commission to continue this discussion with the council in reference to potential, for example, laws that come before us that create certain challenges for whether it's development projects or other cases that come before us, where we could be insightful and a pool of information for how these laws could be tweaked to potentially help the residents of DC. We are, to a certain degree, our hands are tied. For example, if there are a certain number of exemptions that are allowed for certain types of properties, and so when it's presented to us in a hearing and the law says you get 3 exemptions, our hands are somewhat tied.
You talking about vacant property?
Indeed, and that's an example. The reason I bring that up is because after COVID and the impacts of COVID, we've seen quite a few, more cases lending to that number of cases that we have each year. And I think that, again, when I think about how RPTAC and council can work together is to have these discussions. We can bring information of what we're seeing in these hearings that might be helpful for the council in reference to any potential changes or tweaks to the law that would help residents. And I think in all, it helps the district overall.
Mr. Haddock.
I think with some of the changes that are coming up in the political landscape, I hope that we can count on the council to, and specifically you, Mr. Chairman, and the other members, whether they're sitting there or are elected, that they maybe come visit EventsDC and for us to allow them to understand our business and what we do, because sometimes we find ourselves having to explain ourselves. And I think it would be much better if we all work together to ensure that they understand our mission, and so therefore we can carry it out. And that we continue to offer strength to EventsDC with regard to its tourism responsibility, sports, because we've been asked to be the sports capital of the country. And we accept that wholeheartedly. But that there be a listening session before people start either making changes or maybe doing things that are because they're not understanding of what EventsDC really is. It acts like the state tourism board because it has one entity doing all of this. And whether in other states you have a convention bureau that only worries about heads and beds and conventions. You know, we are involved with all these other venues. We're involved with construction. We're involved with real estate. We're involved with community programs. We're involved with sports, entertainment, performing arts. All of these things come under the oversight of EventsDC for the district. And there has to be a learning curve by colleagues that may come and sit in some of these chairs going forward. And that's what I think would be very helpful to us.
Mr. Dormshaw.
Yeah, so I think that, as I consider any, budgetary issues or procurement issues or policy issues, I can't identify, anything specific, but where we would need, additional support or buy-in from the council. But, I do think that in the direction that Jay's comment was going, I actually want to kind of concur with that. We have a number. The sports study is a good example of a great opportunity for EventsDC, members of the administration, but also the council to have a really good discussion around our strategic objectives for the district and how we can position ourselves to be more competitive, more attractive as a destination and host for conventions and sports and performance of events. But there will be additional opportunities for us to have dialogue with the council. I mentioned the capital program being developed. That's a great opportunity, for us to work with the new committee that you've assigned us and make sure that membership kind of understands the component parts of our business and where we want to take the business. So I think that open dialogue, just like today, and making sure that we're doing that on a regular basis would be the best way for you to help us.
I think I've exhausted myself with questions. I don't know if I've exhausted you all. You want to go for another hour, Mr. Williams? So I want to thank you all for your service, since you're all up for reappointment. And thank you for your willingness to continue serving. And thank you for your answers today. As I indicated at the outset, the record in this matter will be open for a little less than 2 weeks. It will close at 5 p.m. on Monday, February 16th, 2026, which is a hint that we may try to move the nominations at our February 17th committee as a whole. That's not a commitment, but a possibility. So thank you again. I'm going to adjourn this in a second as soon as I can figure out what time it is. It's 5:44 p.m. and this roundtable is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.